Welcome to Finding Humans in Tech, where we uncover the extraordinary stories behind the technology shaping our world. This isn't just about innovation. It's about the people, the dreamers, the doers, and the change makers, whose journeys remind us that humanity is the soul of every breakthrough. Get ready to be inspired, to connect, and to celebrate the resilience and passion that drive the tech community forward. Let's dive into the stories that prove technology is nothing without the humans behind it. It's Valentine's Day across the world, and it was a unanimous decision made by the team at Finding Humans in Tech to finally materialize a project so dear to us for so long. This was our ode to the tech community that has given us so much more than our professions. Every one of us started somewhere, fascinated by a technology that goes beyond any imaginable barriers. So it had to be today, a day where we celebrate who and what we love. So here we are, introducing our first human in the series, Adonis Simo, a dashing cloud engineer from the Central African country of Cameroon. In the world of Greek mythology, the name Adonis has references to the mythical god of beauty and desire. He wasn't just as stunning as his namesake, but also a wonderfully kind mentor and one of the coolest techies you would meet in a town. He navigates the world of cloud engineering and product management flawlessly. Growing up in a cosmopolitan setup at the heart of Cameroon, he proudly tells me about how almost every other Cameroonian grew up bilingual. His exquisite French amazed me, and I have been trying to master the language for a couple of years now. I attempted a disastrous greeting in French. He was kind enough to pretend it was good enough to decode what I had said. But that was Dodo. He doesn't have a mean bone in him to tell me how awful it was. Our team had nicknamed him Dodo, derived from the extinct bird of Mauritius, after attending one of his mentorship sessions and being awestruck by this wonderful human. His recollections of his childhood would only be complete with food. The simple cassava, a staple diet in so many African countries, stirred up a few memories for both of us. Steaming hot cassava cakes aroma would fill his home on weekends. Dodo fondly recalls growing up in a mixed neighborhood filled with diverse cultures in the littoral region. It was food that would bring people together on Sundays. Diversity is what he feels appeals to him most about Cameroon. Having lived in several places across the country, he fondly recollects his days in Douala, where one would walk into one of those famous multi-cuisine restaurants and see various nationalities dining together. It undeniably proved the point of Cameroon being known as a mini Africa. It also made me realize how his cosmopolitan upbringing has shaped his identity. Here was a mentor who put everyone at ease and would effortlessly strike up a friendship with anybody in a team. His journey in the tech world has its origins in a family friend's backyard. His parents would take him along on visits to their family's home, which had a neat collection of new and old computers with their parts in their backyard. While the adults would converse and dine, he recalls sitting out and typing imaginary codes on the broken keyboards and dreaming of a day when he could finally write computer programs like the ones he saw on the television series. He had another engaging reason for choosing computer science as his major. He narrated this rather amusing story about how he missed his church's Sunday school and went to his friend's home to watch the movie The Matrix Revolutions. The word algorithm mentioned by one of the main characters in the film was something he couldn't get his mind off. So I asked him if Neo had been the inspiration all along. He laughed and said, "Il est possible." As a child, he didn't grasp the meaning behind such an alluring word. It was years later that he would connect the dots. His fondest memory includes how he and his friends would get together and have intense gaming sessions after school. When I prod him on what games they leaned towards, the reply came in a nanosecond. Need for Speed. The millennial within us was in splits. One can't beat those classic racing video games we grew up with. He remembers changing schools often and relocating to different places. In one of the schools he attended, there was this new introductory subject on algorithms, taught by a very unconventional teacher who didn't believe in the idea of pre-reads or notes. That intrigued him further. He spent the next few weeks just diving deeper into the subject. There was always clarity about what he would major in. Pascal was the first language he learned, and he happily admits how he could translate the algorithms he learned in school into codes. There is a saying that good teachers bring out the best in their students. He recounts how he met a brilliant professor, Mr. Ongba Celestine, at the university. Professor Celestine would give these tech whizzes projects to work on and pair up teams with different skill sets and learning capabilities. Nobody's project would get graded unless every team member showed up and explained the project in their own words. No team member had to be left behind. Ever. These principles definitely influenced Dodo. He would casually switch from explaining complex data structures and algorithms to setting up a mentee's GitHub profile with ease. There was never any judgment on anybody's skills or experiences. He embraced each individual's learning curve. The professor certainly did a good job teaching these young techies the power of teamwork and kindness. When I ask him what advice he would give his younger self, he tells me how he would love to have been open to trying out more technologies. Just sticking to one language or tool because you find it more convenient isn't exactly the best plan forward. One has to be aware of the new technologies emerging in the tech domain and be flexible enough to learn any new skill required. Reactualiser, being open to updating yourself, is what he feels is the need of the hour. He stresses how important it is to break things to learn them. He explains, if a specific code doesn't work the way you intend it to, rewrite it a couple of times and find different ways to implement it. Just don't give up. And one thing he wishes he could tell everybody starting out in the tech space is that no one knows everything. He exclaims, "C'est impossible," and I couldn't agree more. Even as a seasoned programmer, he sighs and admits that he sometimes has to Google solutions like everyone else. We both agreed that no matter how many years of experience you conjure up, learning never ends. Tech is such a dynamic and evolving space, so there is no pressure to know everything under the sun. He wants students to learn to enjoy the process of writing up their first hello world and stepping into a world that will fascinate them every single day. He also pleads that beginners should not hesitate to seek help. Having access to a mentor or a support community is essential in the initial days to get through the steep learning curve. Adonis represents the new and upcoming breed of passionate technologists in the African subcontinent. He and his friends organize several coding camps and developer meetups throughout the year. They are working selflessly to spread computer literacy in their regions and expose the youth to a world unbeknownst to them. I inquired about how they unwind when they leave their superhero capes at home. He flashes a perfect smile and informs me of a hip resto called Friends Food at Bonamusadi in Dula, his hometown and a place close to his heart and soul. One can often spot him and his friends, like the Don Manaxel, gulping down Guinness with their famous shawarma platter, and ordering out the famous bitchakala in his favorite diner called Chop et Yamo with his combis. If there was one thing that brought together Cameroonians, it was aliments. Food was indeed a celebration. But there was something missing in the colorful city. He laments how the tech industry in his hometown is still nascent and has miles to go before it could be comparable to the outside world. He endearingly tells me he hopes the tech giants someday set up their bases in Dula. The work from home setup has opened up more job opportunities for developers and has proved a boon for skilled techies located in remote places. But there was still a long way to go. The numerous opportunities and remunerations many techies from technologically advanced countries take for granted are rare here, and I had to inquire about Dodo's opinions. Briefly tells me of a famous quote in Cameroon: "La vie c'est devant." Always look ahead in life, and that entirely sums up Dodo. always looking at the bright side of things. Here was a group of passionate developers and technologists determined to change their narrative and the world around them by upskilling themselves and working tirelessly to get their skill sets noticed in a competitive global tech space. Artificial intelligence is one domain that has fascinated him lately. He sees a future where a lot of development processes will be automated and admits that he is particularly intrigued by its applications in blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. Just the way algorithms changed the course of Dodo's career, one can bet that AI will be another domain in which he would excel. The passionate techie vividly illustrates his vision of how AI and metaverse would revolutionize social media as we know it today. It gives him excitement to think about the possibilities that lie ahead in the coming years. He points out that as digitalized systems become the norm, the cloud domain is only getting bigger and better, and cybersecurity is something that cannot be taken for granted anymore. Someday, there will be a time when all technologists will have to alternate between different domains, and there will be a fine line dividing any domain from the other. Nous évoluons tous. We all evolve. And how true it was. The evolution is here and now. From a starry-eyed kid, fascinated with algorithms, to becoming a software professional, Adonis' story isn't just about one man's journey. It's the story of most technologists who work anonymously behind the scenes and dream of a future when technologies would surpass what humanity imagined possible. As Dodo would say, au futur, the future is definitely here. As we wrap up this episode of Finding Humans in Tech, remember this. Behind every line of code, every groundbreaking innovation, and every bold idea is a human story, full of passion, resilience, and the courage to dream. These stories remind us that technology isn't just about machines. It's about the heartbeats that make them meaningful. Subscribe, like, and share our channel, and keep on joining us in this journey of discovery and connection. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep innovating, and always keep shining the light.